Welcome to Tech Manual, and if you're new here, please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and always share our videos. In this video, we're going to learn on how to use the if function in Microsoft Excel. So we're going to open the Microsoft Excel software, of which we're going to enter some data so that we can be able to learn how we can be able to use the if function. So we are going to have the column titles, which is name, and then the subjects. You can say mathematics. You can use let's use capital letters, sorry guys. Name. Then the subjects are going to have mathematics, you can use the short form, which is math. Then we're going to have Kiswahili, which is Kis. Then English, geography, agriculture, biology, then chemistry, then lastly CRE. CRE. Then now we're going to have names of our students. I can say that these are just imaginary data, they're not real people. So I can say we have Dalmas, then we have Charles, then we can also have Fred, and then we can also have Anne, then Benson, Sarah, then you can have Jewel, that is Julie, then you can say John, John, then lastly you can talk of Eric. So these are a total of 10 students. These 10 students are going to enter some data for their subject and how they had performed in, let's say, certain tests or exam. So you can say Dalmas had like 67, you can end randomly, 76, 45, 33, 21, 54, then you can say 30 and 65. Then for Charles we can talk of 90, 65, 46, you can talk of 93, 53, 34, 59 and 84. Then you can about Fred, can give him 23, then 45, 78, 49, then you can talk of 56, 78, 34. Great. Then you can move to Anne. You can say Anne had 43 or 46, then 76, 23, 78, 69, 51, 52, and 38. Remember guys, this is just an imaginary data. It's not real, it's just for the purpose of practice. So you can use any kind of data that you have. Not must necessarily to be accurate, but at the end of the day it's going to help us achieve our goal, which is learning how the if function works. Okay, then Julie going to have 78, 55, 56, 47, yeah, then you can say 53, 58, 71, then you can say 87, then you have 56, 55, 56, 39, talk of 34, we can talk of 81, 77, 45, and 90. Great. Then you have John, we can talk of 99, 23, 90, then you can say 56, 55, 78, 45, and 77. Then the last one, which is Eric, you can say we had 76, 45, 82, 34, 71, 23, 78, and finally 91. So nice. We're going to bold our column titles. So we select all of them, or you can select the entire row, then you make it bold, so that you can be able to easily identify the difference or differentiate between the titles, the column titles, and the row or the names. Now that we have the data for each student and the marks that he or she scored, so we are going to calculate now the total marks for each student. So for us to be able to get the total marks for Dalmas, we are going to use or we are going to type a formula. So for you, for the first thing, before you input any formula, we start with the equal sign, then we write the function or the action that we need to do, that is summation. So you write sum, then you open the quotation mark, then you come and select the first argument or the first number. So in this case we are going to select cell B2, which is the marks for Dalmas, the marks for Dalmas, which is B7, no B2. Then we're going to use full colon. After full colon, we come and select now the last argument, which is CRE. This is cell I2, so you come and click right there. Then after doing so, you can close our the brackets, then we press enter or return according to the keyboard you're using. Nice. Now Dalmas has a total of 391 marks out of all the subjects. Like we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subjects. So he has a total of 391 marks. So we're going to use this total mark, the formula for Dalmas. We drag it down to autofill the total marks for any other student. So we drag down to autofill for every other student. After the total, now we are going to calculate the average. The average mark. So here we're going to type still the formula, starting with the equal sign, then you write the word average or the action that you need to perform, which is average. Then you open the bracket, open the bracket, then you still select the first argument, which is still cell B2 for Dalmas, then include the full column. Then we're going to select the last cell, which is for CRE, Dalmas CRE, which is I2. Click right there, or you can type, then you close the brackets, then you click enter. So this is going to be our average mark. You can do the adjustment of column adjustment to make sure that everything fits, then we drag it down to autofill the average marks for each student. Then we can do away with these decimals. Highlight this column for average, then we're going to use this feature, decrease decimal, to remove our decimals. Or if sometime you might find that that feature is unable to perform or to work on your computer, so we're going to click this icon and a number, then you select number, then here we're going to say 0 number of decimals, then you can click OK. Nice. Now we have the average as a whole number instead of using decimals. Then the next thing, now we are going to get the grade for each student. Then after the grades, we're going to get the remarks now. Remarks, or you can say comment. Remarks or comments. Make sure you adjust your columns to fit in very well. So now, for us to be able to calculate now the grade and the remarks, so this is now the most important part, where we're going to include now our if function. So for us to be able to get the grades for each student, we are going to base on average for us to get the grade and the remarks. Then we are going to use this average, which is cell K. So this cell K is going to help us to use if function and get the grade and the remarks. So we're going to type in the formula, starting by the equivalent sign, then write the function, which is if function, then you open the bracket. After opening the bracket, now we are going to write in our logical values, or the arguments, so which is, we're going to use average, which is cell K2. So you come and click on cell K2, then we're going to say if cell K2 is greater than or equal to, let's say 80 marks. That means then you put a comma. Yeah, you can follow up the formula, which is right here. As you can see, it's right here, so you can follow up whatever I'm doing right here. So we say if K2 is equivalent to 80 marks, so then you include a comma, then you quote the quotation marks. You're going to say the person will have scored A plane, then you close the quotes, then you put in comma. So we are going to include other arguments, so that at the end of the day you can be able to see who has gotten an A, who has gotten a B, or who has gotten a C or a D, or who has failed the exam. So after using that, remember, after you've included the argument, you write if function first, then you quote the cell, that is average, which is greater than or equivalent to 80 marks. The person would be able to get a grade of A. Then we continue. So after putting there a comma, we're going to write if again, then you open brackets. So here we are going still to use cell K2 is greater than or equivalent to now 70 marks, comma, open the quotation marks. Let's say the person will have gotten a B plane, then you close the quotation mark, then we're going to put there a comma again, then write if, then open the bracket, write cell K2 is greater than or equal to 60 marks, comma, open the quotation marks, the person will have gotten a C plane, close the quotation, comma, then we include if formula again, open the bracket. So this if we have opened several brackets, that means we'll close with the equivalent number of brackets too. So we have to make sure that you've included all the options that are available for you to give a grade to any student. So if K2 is greater than or equal to 50 marks, comma, or you quote, the person will have gotten a D plane, then you close the quotes, then comma. So for us to include the last option, which is the else part, so this is what we are going to do. As you can see right here, I've included a comma just after our last argument here. So for us to include the else option, we are not going to write a or if function, or we are not going to open a bracket again. What you're going to do is you're going to open the quotation mark after a comma, as you can see, then you include the last option, which is E. So the person means he has failed the exam, not even fail, you'll have referred. That means you will not be able to move to the next stage. You have to repeat, then you close the quotation mark. After doing so, remember the last argument we are not going to include a comma. So what we are going to do is we are going to count here how many times did we open the brackets for us to be able to close with the equivalent number of the brackets that we had opened earlier. So we count, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are going to close the brackets 4 times. So that is 1. As you can see, if you close this first bracket will close the first one here, then the second one will close the second one here, then the third one will close the third one here, then the last, which is the fourth bracket, will close our main if function bracket. After doing so, you can be able to identify our if function formula, which is right here. This is a if function formula for you to be able to calculate the grade of each and every student. So after doing so, then you can click enter once. So you can be able to see that our first student, which is Dalmas, has scored or has been able to attain an E, which is very terrible. So that means the student will not be able to move to the next level. So for us to get the grade for any other student, we're going to drag down our formula, which is still the same for each and every cell, but now instead of K2, the values are going to change automatically according to the grade cell for each student. So we're going to drag down our formula to the last student. Nice. So every time when you click on, let's say Charles, for Charles has gotten a C plane, here you'll be able to see K3 and K3 everywhere. Then if you click on the last student, you'll be able to see K11. That means that the letter or the cell reference for each student will be changing automatically. So for remarks, we are going to apply the same formula using the same criteria, but now without using grades, we are going to give remarks. So we are going to type equivalent sign, equal sign, sorry, then you write if function, you open the brackets, we are going to say still we are going to use the average to determine the remarks on which your student has attained or has gotten. So we are going to still to use K2, which is the average. You can see it right there. So we're going to use K2, sorry, let's repeat, equivalent sign, open the if function, then you're going to use K2. So if K2 is greater than or equal to, or equal to 80 marks, comma, you open the quotation, the student will be able to get remarks as distinction. That's a distinction. You close the quotes, then you put the comma, then you open another if function, then you open the bracket. That's our second bracket, remember. So here we are going to say if K2 is greater than or equal to 70, comma, the remarks will be credit. The student will have gotten a credit, then you close the quotation marks, then you put the comma, open another if bracket, K2 is greater than or equal to let's say 60, then comma, open the quotation marks, your student will be able to get remarks as pass. So the student will have just passed an exam, then comma, then open we write if again, then open the bracket. Here we're going to say if K2 is greater than or equal to 50, comma, then you open the quotation marks, the student will be able to get remarks as fail. So here we're going to put comma. So instead of writing if again and opening another bracket, since this is the else part now, because this is our last remarks that we want to display. So here, instead of writing another if or opening another bracket, we're just going to, after the comma, we open the quotes, then write the last remarks, which is, you can say, referred, then you close the remarks. So since it's the last option, or it's the else part, we are not going to use a comma after this. Instead, we are going to count the number of brackets that we've just opened, then we close with exactly the same number of brackets as we had done it earlier during the grade. So we count, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are going to close it how many times? 4 times. So that is 1 and 2, 3, and 4. So the fourth one, it will close our main if function bracket or formula. Then after that you can be able to see our remarks if function formula well displayed here. You can be able to refer to it and follow up keenly and make sure you haven't ignored any point or any command that you just followed, because it won't work for you well if you ignore or omit anything. So after that you're going to hit enter or return according to your keyboard. Here we are able to see that Dalmas has gotten a grade of as E, then remarks will be referred, so that student will not be able to move to the next stage. So after doing so, we're going to drag down the formula for remarks, the first student to fill for other students too. Nice. So here we are able to see that Dalmas was not able to go to the next level because he got remarks as referred. Then we have Charles, who has passed. Then Fred has failed. Then we have Anne, who has failed. We have Benson, gotten a pass. Sarah, pass, fail. Then we have Julie, pass. Then John, fail, and then pass and pass. So now this means that this is the exact the formula that you can be able to apply for you to get the correct results for an if function or an if feature in Microsoft Excel. I hope you've learned and enjoyed this video. Make sure that if you've learned something new, ensure that you shared it to your other fellows so that they can be able to learn through the same thing and enjoy. Thank you, and make sure you turn on the notification bell so that next time when we upload our video, it will be the first one to be notified.